I have, I might be a little bit hot on my mic. I don't want to burn your ears here. Except with how hot the topic is. Agoric orchestration. Oh, I need a clicker. There we go. I have the power now. Excellent. And we talked about a bunch of these ideas starting last year, but it really all came together where we can do things with the engine that we've built over these many years that are impossible on other chains. We'll talk about how we can build impossible things. But let me start with, we have all succeeded with IBC, with the modular explosion and so forth, of creating a vast number of chains that are all connected. And obviously, there are, hundreds more than I can possibly show on the slide, but it gets us to a world where things are connected, but you still have to hand carry your assets from one chain to another, right? And so what that results in is fragmented liquidity and fragmented user experience, and generally a pretty bad user experience. Now, in response to that, you may have heard of chain abstraction. People have been building solutions. And so, first off, how many people here have had to move tokens from one chain to another? It's like, I know you're out there. All right. And how many people have used an interface that looks like this? Right, one of our favorite around here. Okay, we got that. There's also a cross. There's a few others where they're really doing a much better job of rolling up into that UI, into a single UI, the ability to move chains and swap them at a particular time. And you may have heard of intent systems that are similarly creating a nice experience as an improved use case. And if people used these nicer interfaces, I think I asked. Right? Okay, so now, when you bought your plane ticket, assuming you're not a local, to come to Dubai, how many people here had to manually move money from their bank account to the bank of the ticketing system of the flight in order to be able to purchase that ticket? You manually move money from Wells to Chase in order to pay for it? Wow, okay, I'm impressed. Most people just go to Expedia or Travelocity or Delta or whatever it is, push a button, and they say which credit card, and the ticket comes in. Right? And that's the experience that we're used to in Web 2. That's what the user wanted to do. It's rare that users want to just move a token, right? They want to move a token from one chain to another and do a swap in order to do something with it, in order to have a full and complete user experience. And so even though we have now started to gather together and unify the liquidity, we still have not unified the functionality and the user experience in order to deliver simple user experiences to end users. And so the antidote to that kind of fragmentation is orchestration. And if Basil's around, I'm going to say orchestration as often as possible and see if I can't get him to scream. All right. And so we started this orchestration. We helped kick off chain abstraction as a narrative at ETH Denver at the beginning of the year. And since then, and introduced orchestration. And orchestration was not on anyone's radar really at that point, and it is now a category that has grown in the market map of chain abstraction, and it's really about going beyond chain abstraction into enabling these rich end-to-end experiences across chain, seamlessly, both for the developer and for the end user. So my experience is push button, buy a plane ticket. Push button, buy an NFT. Push button, get a subscription that will renew every month. Push button and get staking happening where I automatically compound, okay? And so what are some of those experiences, right? Multi-chain yield optimizer. There's one of our early access partners is building, has a yield optimizer on Arbitrum where their customers are asking, can you get it on Base? Can you get access to spread this yield so you're putting something into Camino on Solana, right? And they want to use orchestration to be able to achieve that extended access for their users. We've got the unified liquidity solver, a solver infrastructure where the liquidity is on-chain with automatic settlement that's part of the Fast USDC project we talked about at Token 2049, and it'll into things, into both Noble Express, but also into things like the skip, go, fast that they talked about in the other rooms. This is one of these things where being able to bring these stuff that people are currently doing off-chain, on-chain in an automated fashion, so it becomes a smart contract with the integrity we expect of that, turns out to be really valuable for some use cases, right? But those are slightly more complicated automation, orchestration of the asynchronous activity, the kind of thing that I said about buying a plane ticket, just being able to do that simple thing, we can't do. We can do the end-to-end swap now, and that's really sexy, but if what I want is a ticket on Omniflix or an NFT on Stargaze, I gotta do 2 actions, maybe 3. I do one, and then 20 minutes later when it's all arrived, or 3 minutes or whatever it is, I need to remember to go back and continue. So being able to, I'll start with sort of these simple use cases. There's plenty of complex ones that people are starting to build with orchestration. But let's go down, like Native earlier today and yesterday talked about doing in-place swaps of Bitcoin, where the Bitcoin stays on the Bitcoin chain, and you're natively arranging to buy it using orchestration by participating in a stablecoin sale, an IST sale on the Agoric application, right? So, but I'll talk about cross-chain staking management. That's something that lots of people end up doing. Kind of a back office thing, but it ends up being something that is exposed to all of the users of all of the chains in Cosmos and now extended out over into Ethereum land. This shows up as a common thing that people want to be able to do. So I'll talk about that in the context of how does orchestration work, right? It's a smart contract. Your contract to do this orchestration stuff is a contract running on Agoric that gets, let's say, in this case, I want to use my USDC on Ethereum. It's burning a hole in my pocket. I want to buy Celestia token and stake it, right? Or then, well, we'll see what happens then, right? So being able to coordinate the actions asynchronously of different chains in order to accomplish that use case is fundamentally what orchestration is about. And so the way we do that, what that looks like, and I always love having code because it's so accessible in the environment that we're in that non-coders can understand it, right? So where's the camera I'm looking at? So I will start by getting an object that gives me all the things I can do on Celestia. I will then make an account on Celestia. So this is reach out over to Celestia, make a brand new account, and the first miracle of the platform is I can wait for that, right? So that finishes this block, right? It's going to take a couple of seconds, a couple of, 5, 10, 20 seconds to reach out over to Celestia, make a brand new account, and come back and say, I got it. Right? So then this thing will continue, right? So this is running on-chain in JavaScript, a language that is understood by tens of members, right? And it sits there and waits. The second miracle is what I get back is an object in JavaScript, like the window or a document or what, HTML page or whatever it is, that is the only thing on the planet that can control that brand new account on Celestia that I made from running this smart contract on Agoric. Okay, so then I will trigger a transfer of my USDC. I'll send 1,000 USDC from the Noble account that this smart contract controls on behalf of the user off to Osmosis to swap it for Celestia token and end up delivering into ICA Celestia, which is the account that I just made and that is being controlled by this contract on behalf of the user. So once that happens, right, that wait is going to wait for 4 chains to do their business. It will either succeed or roll back and throw an exception in the normal JavaScript style that I can try catch and do all the normal error handling that we do, that millions of people do in Web 2, right? And so once it completes, how much transferred? Let me stake it. That's what I wanted to do. That's the menu of actions. Let me get my money, swap it for Celestia, send it over to Celestia, and stake it. I understand that, and it maps pretty directly to this experience here, right? And the fundamental magic that makes that happen is this native ability to execute multi-block actions, right? Async await is an important part of that, but multi-block actions are something that no other platform can do. All of these other platforms, starting from Ethereum, the programs are all built where they start and end within one block. Right? If I've started a block, I can do a swap instantaneously. I can lock up the world, make everybody stop and do my one thing if it fits within 5 seconds. But if it doesn't, you're out of luck. And anything multi-chain, anything cross-chain, anything that wants to bridge does not fit in a block because it doesn't start until you end the block. Right? And so what that means is the Ethereum execution model, the Cosmoverse execution model, all these execution models are built around focusing on that clearly very important thing, right? Billions of dollars are happening in atomic swaps, but not everything in software happens that way. And all of these use cases that the user wants, that are do something, transfer something, and spend the money, all of those use cases are multi-block. All right, let me move more quickly, right? Similarly, multi-block, being able to do multi-block is not just a few seconds. It could be the 21 days waiting for an undelegate. So reach out, undelegate my things, wait for 21 days, move the money around, ending with a custom action, which is to liquid stake it on Stride, right? And this would be the action that if you don't have it, that means you've got to do an undelegate, remember 21 days later, maybe set an account, maybe I'll come back and then go and do the liquid stake, right? And that's bad for you, it's bad for the liquid staking provider, it's bad for all the ecosystems. Automating that, orchestrating that is really valuable. Okay, so similarly we have timers, right? This is something that no other platform has. And being able to express something where, like, if I want to do compounding, that's just every 24 hours, run the compounding workflow. And what does that look like? Well, it's basically withdraw my rewards, see how much it is, and stake it. That's what compounding is, right? If I wanted to do something that takes some of it, sell it to get $1,000 in order to pay my power bills for my machine, and then restake the rest, that's just a little more code that 1 million programmers could build for you. Okay? And so my button is not working. Oh, there we go. Oh, yes. That API that I showed you is alpha. All the others are deployed, right? So I talked about like the portfolio manager or the yield optimizer, right? Similar, just like I can react to time happening. I can say, hey, wake me up in an hour because then your offer has expired. I can react to prices changing. I can react to notification that a particular sale happened, right? It's easy to, you know, the reason why JavaScript is the #1 programming language on the planet still is because you can use it to orchestrate the activity in Web 2 of hundreds of thousands of microservices all across a myriad businesses. Well, this gives you that same kind of power. So any functionality, any app chain, any service that is deployed in the accessible Web 3 becomes something that you can respond to and react to in real time on chain. Okay, so that gives you those seamless cross-chain workflows. It gives you the ability to, instead of saying, oh, I've now done a liquid staking token, let me send them to Osmosis to put it into a pool and hope they come back to me someday. Instead, you can write an orchestration that does that for the user and you keep the user, right? In any business except in the Web3 world, user retention is well understood to be something that is valuable because you put a lot of work into bringing those users in. You'd like to be able to sell them the next round of stuff. You'd like to be able to add value to their experience and keep them delighted with your platform, right? And then you get the improved economics of being able to use all those services. We don't need to build an AMM because we've got Osmosis and Astroport, you know, just a click away, just a call away. It's just as accessible to us as one that would be locally. And so that lets us amplify the value of applications by all the services that anyone else has built. And finally, you can build these fancier and fancier applications. I focus here on the simple but impossible cases of do a transfer and swap and then do something with it. But there's as many more of, let me undo my yield position, pull my cash out, go over here, buy a thing, and then stake it, right? Being able to do something, do your intense style swap, and then do something with the result is covers an astonishing number of the use cases that people have come to us that they want to do now, but the next generation where they want to automatically rebalance a portfolio whenever the price crosses this or every day, whichever one comes first, that kind of code is much more fancy code, but it all fits into this kind of framework. So that leads us to the extensibility. Obviously, we can add timers, we can add lots of other features. One of them is what works now, what's deployed now, what's live on chain, lets you orchestrate anything in the interchain. And it's already extending out to Ethereum and will extend out further to Ethereum and Solana so that people are now the work to be able to, their applications to be able to leverage the power of services out in Ethereum and the user base out in Ethereum. And so, what does orchestration give you, right? It lets you unify access. It lets you unify the liquidity. You can pull all these assets together and be able to programmatically and automatically deploy them. And it lets you unify the functionality that we've got spread out so you can deliver these simple user experiences to users. So, these are some of the projects that we're working with to integrate orchestration functionality. There are several others in progress that we can't talk about yet, but you'll hear about them over the next couple of months. And we would like your project to go out and do this too, because this is not about moving your project onto a new platform. This is about adding orchestration value, being able to take your users that are excited about your platform, but they would like to take their assets over there and automatically apply them. Or they would like to take the rewards from your platform and do something else with them, but stay connected to your platform. Those are all the things where it can add value to everything that every chain is doing anywhere connected to the Interchain. Come talk to our team. We're in booths over there, and there's a workshop of how to do this, and you can build on this stuff at Hackmos. Thank you much for your time.